Today's Scotiabank East semifinal features two teams that haven't met in this game since 1989. Their hometown is hosting the Grey Cup. Will the Blue Bombers be a major part of the big party? The Bombers quarterback is healthy. Kevin Glenn will test his sore ankle and his arm against one of the stingiest defenses in the CFL. But the key could be the running of Charles Roberts. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Armitage along with Darren Flutie, and welcome to the Scotiabank East semifinal. Darren, will Sir Charles make the difference?
Steve, absolutely. Charles Roberts, leading rusher in the CFL, 3 of the last 4 seasons. This year, 1,609 yards on 303 carries. I mean, what does that tell you about the guy? Well, one, he's extremely talented as a runner and also as a receiver coming out of the backfield, but 303 carries and stayed healthy. He's extremely durable, too, and he achieved all this with 11 different offensive linemen playing this year and 39 different combinations along that offensive front. As Val St. Germain said, hey, all we got to do is give Charles Roberts a crease and let him do his thing.
In the Argo backfield, Ricky Williams not exactly dominating in his 2 games against the Blue Bombers. So if they've been saying all season, wait till the playoffs.
Yeah, well, Ricky came into Toronto with so much fanfare, you know, and deservedly so, Heisman Trophy winner, All-Pro in the NFL. But I would have to say with his 526 yards and missing 7 games this season, it's been a disappointment. But you know what? All that can turn around with one huge playoff game today against these Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean, you alluded to it, but in the 2 games against Winnipeg that they lost, only had those 17 carries for 20 yards. Has to do better than that.
And let's not forget John Avery, number 20, in that Argo backfield. It is time now for Darren's playoff Rona game note.
Thanks, Steve. Game notes for today, offensively for Winnipeg, Charles in charge. We just talked about it. Charles Roberts against this vulnerable defense of the Argos needs to have a big day. Defensively for Winnipeg, the Great Walls of Canada. And here we're looking at Tom Canada and Gavin Walls combined 21 sacks on the season, need to get pressure on Damon Allen. And for the Argos offensively, running on empty. As we talked about, they struggled running the ball in the first 2 games and they lost to Winnipeg. The last game, John Avery, 14 carries for 90 yards and they won. Defensively, long cold winter. Antonius Bonner is out, Chuck Winters is in. Winter has to be effective, stopping the run, and Charles Roberts for the Argos to win today.
7 years with the Montreal Alouettes, but this will be Doug Barry's first CFL game as head coach. 9-9 in the regular season, 2-1 against the Argos. His team 5-4 on the road. Barry says this is just another game. He's not nervous. This is not a new situation for Pinball Clemens. He's been there and done that as player and coach, but says his team, which won 8 of its last 11 games, has overcome major injuries to get this far. The Bombers electing to receive on the kickoff. Albert Johnson with a little bit of running room, and he will give the Bombers pretty good field position for first time with the ball. Kevin Glenn at one point in that game against the BC Lions early in that game the other week, it looked as if Kevin Glenn was down and out for the count with an ankle injury. It has come back strong, and Kevin Glenn says he's about 85% on the ankle.
We'll find out early enough how much mobility he has on that ankle. I mean, pretty tough defense in the Argos. He has to be elusive today for Winnipeg to be effective.
1st and 10 for the Blue Bombers. First possession from row 37. Good play action. Glenn with all kinds of room. That ankle's going to get an early test, and he slides across the 50-yard line.
Well, this is classic. You see right away that the Argos are saying, all right, Kevin Glenn's banged up. We're not going to pay attention to him. We'll pay attention to Charles Roberts, and they bid on the play fake. And as he came around the corner, look at Fletcher's down, just going with Charles Roberts. Nobody's out there. They're going to see if he can run or not. He doesn't look like he's running great, but hey, if no one's out there, he can pick up 10 yards.
With that kind of space in front of him, you could pick up that kind of yardage.
I highly doubt that, but
a 13-yard pickup, 1st and 10 now, Bombers from the 50-yard line. Another little play action, and again, tons of room. And that time, he unloads Rambo on the receiving end of that one. Let's check the Blue Bombers offense.
Well, Charles Roberts missed everything, and Glenn, we're going to watch his ankle today. Looks good early, though. There's the receiving core. Milt Stiegel, I think, and Armstrong, the 2 leaders of this, need to step up and make the plays when called upon. And up front, well, they had a back to rush for 1,609 yards. They must be pretty decent. Kahn hasn't missed a game. Val St. Germain, maybe the best D lineman, offensive lineman.
5-receiver pack for the Bombers. They give to Roberts his first touch of the ball, and he picks up a couple. Let's check that defense for the Argos.
Well, there's the Argo D-line. Brown and England are two big guys, but, you know, need to get pressure today on a gimpy Kevin Glenn. We'll see if they can do that. Linebacker core, very solid. Mike O'Shea, the leader there, but Ivan, just a great. And Chuck Winters in for Antonio Spanner today in the playoff game. Secondary, I mean, this is where they get all their points. Parker, 5 interception returns for touchdown. You got Younger back there and Cliff Ivory.
Empty backfield for the Bombers. Armstrong with the reception for Winnipeg. Very close to the first down. Younger in there to make the tackle for the Argos.
Well, if you're worried about Kevin Glenn early and how healthy he is, he looks very good. Couple bootlegs, he throws that one on a rope to Armstrong, and that's the type of pass you need to complete against the Argos. The nice conservative 10-yard passes just to keep moving the chains.
And we're going to get our first measurement of this Scotiabank East semifinal.
Steve, I think the offensive game plan coming into this has been great. I mean, you had to expect with Glenn's ankle bothering him, as we see they're just short, that it would be just a huge dose of Charles Roberts. But what they did early is do play action, roll Kevin Glenn out and say, hey, you better account for me or it's going to be a long day. And that'll open up the running holes for Charles Roberts.
Less than a yard to keep the drive alive for Doug Berry and the Blue Bombers. I mentioned the fact that Berry said he wasn't nervous, although he was a little bit uptight yesterday. I think just getting to the playoffs an accomplishment for the Blue Bombers, but now they're here. They'd like to keep it going and be the Eastern representative in the Grey Cup game in Winnipeg. Triple I formation for the Bombers, needing less than a yard. Kevin Glenn keeps it himself and has the yard and then some. Another first down for the Bombers.
Just so important for the Bombers to have this first drive, and even if they come down here and don't finish it off and get the touchdown, to move the football effectively, to have Kevin Glenn do just this, as we see the push along this offensive line that, despite having a back that rushed for 1,609 yards, not one all-star along that offensive line, they're playing with a little chip on their shoulder today.
Although the guy who carries most of the mail for the Bombers is the Eastern nominee for the outstanding player. That is Charles Roberts. First and 10 from the Argo 35. Roberts. And Roberts gets down just shy of the 30-yard line. Kevin Ivan there to make the stop for Toronto.
Just that little bit of a delay by Kevin Glenn, and the first two times he did that, he booted it out there. Now that he's done that, he's freeing up room for Charles Roberts, and as Val St. Germain said before the game, we just need to give him that crease. I think you see that. When he gets the crease, he's an automatic 4, 5, 6 yards.
The second running back in CFL history to rush for more than 1,500 yards in more than 4 straight seasons. The only other one to do that was Mike Pringle. Little play action and a pitch to Roberts. He tried to swing him wide, and the Argos aren't biting.
That just shows the incredible team speed this Argo defense has. It looked like they had the play going to the strong side of the field, the right side of the field, and they optioned it out there. He had a lot of room, but Fletcher came flying up to turn Roberts back inside where he had help, and he got the help, and they made the play, forcing him into a long field goal attempt.
42-yarder for Troy Westwood. His longest of the year is 47. He's been good on 30 of 43. That one's got the legs, and it's good. So the Bombers take a 3-0 lead on a field goal from Troy Westwood. A special welcome to our Canadian troops watching today in Afghanistan and our American viewers watching on Cox Sports, TW Sports Syracuse, Kansas City Metro Sports, KTBU in Houston, and viewers of America One Network and Comcast Seattle. Hope you're enjoying the CFL on CBC playoff edition. Bombers kicking off following that Troy Westwood field goal. Livingston inside his own 15. Building up speed, now decides to come upfield. He's got some room. He's still on his feet. Livingston just short of the midfield stripe. Excellent field position for Damon Allen and the Argos offense.
That's just a huge part of what the Argos need to win a playoff game against Winnipeg today. They go to the field side, and it's just all Livingston's with that wall being set up. I mean, so dangerous at Livingston. I think we'll see a little bit of Arlen Bruce back returning today, too. But to get field position right near midfield, I mean, for Coach Clemens, this is what he relies on this. Prefontaine in his kicking in his return game to help them win.
Livingston certainly doing his job there. 1st and 10 for the Argos. Damon Allen puts it up, in, out of the arms of R.J. Soward. We saw that movie last week, did we not?
Yeah, it's not a good sign to see that early. I mean, little play action by Damon Allen puts it on the money. Geez, you got to catch it. You just got to catch it. I had a little nerves, you know, early in the football game.
And the Argos are going without a huddle, maybe try to unsettle that Bomber defense early. 2nd and 10 for Allen and the Argos. Allen puts it up, intended for Talbot, and that was going one way while Talbot was going the other. Omar Evans covering on the play. That's a matchup we might look for.
It's a good match. I mean, Talbot was open. Both the first 2 plays for the Argos, Damon Allen saw man-to-man coverage across the board. He has Talbot here wide open. Talbot gets confused as far as looking for the ball and reacts late. Was open on the play, though. They need to, I hate to say it's such a cliche, get on the same page with the quarterback.
Noel Prefontaine to punt from his 45. The best punter in the CFL. And Albert Johnson just lets it go over his head. He may have lost it. And the Bombers fall on it. Flag down, no yards. You're watching the Scotiabank East semifinal, the CFL on CBC.
Every day, countless Canadians find themselves in dangerous, even life-threatening situations. And every day, selfless men and women come to their rescue. The Royal Canadian Mint pays tribute to everyday heroes with a new 25-cent Medal of Bravery circulation coin. Find this special collectible in your change, save it, and honor our brave, everyday heroes.
Welcome back to the Rogers Center in Toronto, where Winnipeg have possession, their 2nd possession of the game. They lead it 3-0 on a Troy Westwood field goal. 1st and 10 from the 19. Double tight for the Bombers. They get to Roberts. Roberts with room. Roberts still has it. Roberts knocked out of bounds at the 46-yard line.
Well, I don't know what adjectives to use about Charles Roberts that hasn't been said already, but he's amazing here. As you said, the double tight ends, great formation. Just give the ball to him deep enough where he can use his vision to go right or left. Here he bounces back to the left side behind Val St. Germain. I love that formation with the 2 tight ends and the 3 receivers, because all 3 are off the line and get that running start, which is very effective. But also you have 2 big guys on the end that help with Charles Roberts as far as the blocking is concerned.
A 28-yard pickup for the one they call Blink. So it's 1st and 10 Bombers from their own 47. Pitch back to Glenn. Glenn going deep. He's got Stiegel open, but the Argos swarm around the ball. Good recovery from the Argos secondary, knocking that down.
No, that was well covered. Steinhauer didn't bite on the run fake to Roberts. He kept his depth. You can see Orlando right in the, he's backing up even though he saw run. 21 in the back of your screen, and now he's got an angle on Charles Roberts. I mean, well covered. A little trick play, try to get a big play, good idea, but very disciplined very experienced defensive secondary for these Argos.
I think Stiegel could have done with a little bit more on that ball. He was open for a short time, and had Glenn been able to lead him, that might have been catchable. 2nd and 10 Blue Bombers from the 47. Glenn in and out of the arms of the intended receiver Armstrong.
Yeah, they took a couple good chances on that series. Even that play right there, Kevin Glenn setting himself, looks very strong on his ankle, had some open receivers, just shot it. A little high on that one. But you know, Winnipeg's offense looks good. They look good early.
They look sharp. Troy Westwood angling himself to kick this ball out of bounds. Livingston at his own 20, getting set to receive. No question about that. It takes the Blue Bomber bouncing, goes out of play at about the 28-yard line. So when we come back, Damon Allen and the Argos will have possession. With the Argos from their own 28, they trail 3-0. John Avery gets his first touch of the ball. Picks up 5.
I love that play when you give it off tackle or you give a lead play and you bring around a guy like Arland Bruce and you fake the reverse. It just keeps everyone backside of that defensive line. As you watch, there's the give to Avery and the fake to Arland Bruce. And you see Canada go with them. I mean, that just keeps them at home. Just to open up lanes for your running backs. I just think it's a great idea, and you can do that consistently throughout the game.
They spot the ball at the 34, so the Argos are 2nd and 4. Allen with time. Keith Stokes flagged down, but Stokes still on his feet. Crosses the 45-yard line. Has the first out and then some, but will the flag bring it back?
Holding 65 Toronto.
It looks like it's going to be holding against the Argos.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Jerome Davis, the right tackle. And bring him back undisciplined early, right? We had the drop early, and now a
holding.
big play.
Toronto number 65, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
A big play called back because of Davis. It's coming right here on Canada. And we said Canada with his 10 sacks, you see him kind of pull down on that right shoulder. You know, that's a little iffy there, Steve. I'm not sure. These guys are working hard to protect their quarterback. I don't think Walby would agree with that one.
That nullifies the big game of Stokes. It's 2nd and 14, Toronto. Now move back to their own 24. Allen completes to Talbot, and Talbot gets the first down.
That's big after the penalty, but here's the offense. There's the combination everyone wanted to see. Williams and Avery in the same backfield. See if they can run the ball, and there's the receiving core. Talbot with the big catch right there to convert the first down. Make no mistake about it, Arland Bruce is the guy from that receiving core. And there's the guys up front, all-stars, Williams, St. John, and Davis. 3 all-stars along the offensive line for the Argos.
A 16-yard pickup, 1st and 10, Toronto from the 40. They give to Avery. Avery with daylight. Avery across the midfield stripe. Kyrie Hebert in there to make the stop for the Bombers.
Well, we talked about it just before the game, saying Ricky Williams didn't run well against the Bombers, but John Avery did with his 14 carries for 90 yards. And here again, the fake reverse to Arland Bruce just freezes him for that moment. And I tell you, Avery still has his quickness in that burst. Once he gets into the secondary, watch out. John Avery's a great runner.
17-yard gain. 1st and 10. Argos from the 53. Good fake. Ooh. And just as he threw it, Allen was hit and popped the ball up, but a flag is down.
Wow, he took a shot from Gavin Walls, and they're going to get away. They get an all sides on Winnipeg. But wow, we talked about Canada and Walls being the big guys along that defensive front, and they're getting in there early.
Offside. Winnipeg, number 98, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Or maybe that's why he got the hit on Damon Allen.
He got a jump, an illegal jump. Gavin Walls is wearing the microphone for us today, so will be checking in with Gavin Walls from time to time. The Argos now 1st and 5 from the Bombers' 48-yard line. They trail 3-0. First quarter action. Scotiabank East semifinal here in Toronto. Williams, and he's got daylight. Williams still going, dragged down at the 25-yard line. That's the Williams Argo fans wanted to see.
I just think it's great execution for this Argo offensive line. Also the running backs again. Watch the fake to Arlan Bruce. I just see 2 or 3 defensive linemen freeze and go with the fake reverse. And hey, these guys are great backs. I mean, Williams and Avery, you give them that crease, just like a Charles Robertson, and they're going to get some yards for you. I just think that the game planning and the execution along that offensive line with a fake reverse has been very effective early for the Argos.
When he is square to the hole like he was that time, he is a big load, a tough man to bring down. A 23-yard pickup, 1st and 10 Argos from the Bombers' 25. Avery, and he's in trouble. Good job by the Bombers defense to stop Avery. Let's check that Winnipeg D.
Well, Winnipeg defensively, we talked a lot about Canada and Walls. Walls 11 sacks, Canada 10, and there's Doug Brown playing with that injured shoulder. Well, Simpson's the guy at middle linebacker, 110 tackles on the season. Haven't called his name much at all this game. He needs to get involved quickly. Good secondary, experienced guys with Marlborough, Malvo, and Omar Evans at the corner.
A loss of 2 on that last play. Doug Brown playing with a very tender shoulder. There was some doubt as to whether he'd be able to play in this one, but he's there, and he's a force when he's healthy. Allen brought down. Tom Canada, the man in the Argo backfield to do the damage.
Yeah, when you see a sack today from that Winnipeg defensive front, it's either going to be Tom Canada or Gavin Walls, and we see him come from the bottom, one-on-one, again, just getting that bull rush. I mean, really controlling the offensive line. We already saw a holding call on Jerome Davis, and that time you saw him tentative backing up into his quarterback.
37-yard field goal attempt from Noel Prefontaine. He was good on 31 of 42 in the regular season. His longest 52. Well within his range, and it's an easy field goal for Noel Prefontaine. We are tied at 3. You're watching the CFL on CBC. Welcome back to the Scotiabank East semifinal. We are tied at 3, Argos and Blue Bombers.
Well, there's Jerome Davis right there. He missed last week's big game against Montreal due to a rib injury, and watch Canada just go right through him. You got to wonder if that rib injury is still bothering him, because he had the holding penalty earlier when he got beat on the outside, and then he just strength on strength right there. Canada just blew right through him. So we'll watch Jerome Davis today, because the tackle is so important to a quarterback, especially his right side for a right-handed quarterback.
And following the Argo field goal from Prefontaine, the Bombers are 1st and 10 from their own 35. To the right side. They give to Roberts. Roberts right up the middle, and he crosses the 40-yard line. Right now, let's check in with Scott Russell. Scotty?
Right on, Steve. Kevin Glenn sporting some new high-cut boots today. A blast from the past. Looked like something Bomber legend Kenny Payne might have worn, all in an effort to support that ankle. We talked to Glenn earlier about his mobility. He said he would not endanger the chances of his team if he wasn't completely confident in it. By the way, should Glenn falter today, it will be Brad Banks to back up, not Dimwitty, who struggled against BC last week. Steve?
You know, Scott, I don't think Bomber fans would care if he was wearing knee-high boots, as long as it works. Boy, that was almost picked off.
Almost picked off by Wheaton, but a heck of a throw by Kevin Glenn. I mean, he's on today. He put that on the money. Not sure if Wheaton gets a piece of this. I'm sure we'll see in the replay, but if he had underthrown that on Milt's backside shoulder, this was a touchdown for Kenny Wheaton. He just gets his fingertips on it. Right there, you see him deflected enough to distract Milt Stegall, and he doesn't haul it in. But I thought a well-thrown ball.
Glenn going for the man who probably wants to win this game more than any other in Milt Stiegel. Troy Westwood will punt from his own 30-yard line. And again, he's going to angle it out. And pinball took it on the fly. Out of bounds. Shades of years gone by here in Argoland. Pinball made the catch. We're tied at 3 here, and the fans get a huge kick out of that.
You know, that is, I've seen that too many times from the other sideline, pinball catching that and going to the house the other way. That'll show you how loose these Argos are. You know, here's a team that, hey, we've been here, we've done that. The head coach is catching the ball and running back a punt on the sideline.
I don't know that was an instinct on the part of pinball.
Yeah, you know, I think it's also the way he wants his team to play. Hey, be loose. This is a playoff game, but have fun, enjoy it, and just play ball.
That might be the bottom line. Have fun. 1st and 10 Argos from the 47. Play action buys Allen some time. He's airing it out, going deep. And what a catch! Arland Bruce, a huge catch down to the Blue Bomber 20-yard line.
Wow, where do you begin? What a throw by Damon Allen. I mean, well covered by Marlborough. You couldn't put it anywhere else. And a tremendous catch. And here we get it, 101. Marlborough stays on his outside shoulder, doesn't go for the fake. Stride for stride, looks for the ball, reaches out, but just perfectly thrown. I mean, yeah, great catch by Arland Bruce, but Damon Allen, wow, he put that one on the money.
A 43-yard pickup that moves it down to the 20-yard line where the Argos are now 1st and 10. Flag is down. Looks like it'll be procedure.
Great catch by Arland Bruce, though, also. I mean, covered so well.
Procedure. Toronto number 68. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Dave Costa gets caught on that one. Arland Bruce did a little bit of trash talking this week. I am very confident, and I know that no one can stop me but me. He was right on that one.
Yeah, as a receiver, you know, he's going through that where he's very confident, but I'll tell you what, defenses can take away a receiver. It's not like, you know, you're a running back where you're going to get your touches no matter what.
Argos 1st and 15. It is Bruce on the reverse, and they are going to stop him this time. Shy of the 25-yard line. Had to get down to the 10 to keep the drive alive.
Yeah, from the Argos perspective, though, you had to do this at least once just to keep them honest backside, to keep respecting that so you can get those running lanes for Ricky Williams and John Avery. So, yeah, why not run it once and then keep sticking it in there with Williams and Avery.
So it's 2nd and 16 from the 26. Needing to get down to the 10. Jeff Johnson into the game for the Argos in the backfield. Complete pass to Keith Stokes. Stokes brought down at the 21-yard line, well short of the 1st down.
And a game between these two teams where rarely do you see them, either one of them, go over 20 points, especially when they play each other. These field goals are huge, so a little 6-8 yard pass right there, even though it's not close to a 1st down, gets it closer for Prefontaine. I mean, 3 points is big in these games, where the final score, like their game in August on the 25th, was 18-15 Argos. I mean, that'll tell you how big 3 points can be.
28-yard field goal attempt for Prefontaine. Good on his first one, and he's good on his second. So the Argos increase their lead by 3, 6-3, with 33 seconds remaining to play in the opening quarter. Tuesday night, an all-new Rick Mercer report. Rick gets a drumming lesson from one of the world's great drummers from Rush. Then a new episode of This Hour has 22 minutes. It all starts Tuesday at 8 o'clock on CBC. Do you know the drummer of Rush?
I absolutely do. There is no one better than Neil Peart. Wow, I gotta watch that just to see Neil Peart from Rush.
Doug Berry has seen a pretty good effort both defensively and offensively from his Bombers team so far. First and 10 from the 35. Roberts. And Roberts runs into a brick wall known as England at the 40-yard line. Picks up about 5 or 6 on the carry.
They've been so effective running the football, and here they go right with it again. 5 or 6 yards on first downs, and I was going to say it last time, but watch Roberts finish his runs. You think of him as the quick, speed, elusive running back, but when he hits a pile, that pile moves forward, and those 1, 2, 3 extra yards are so important as far as moving the chains.
Should be the final play of the opening quarter. 2nd and 4 make it for the Bombers from their own 41. Double tight. Kevin Glenn pumps once, buys some time, gets back to the original line of scrimmage, and keeping is the man who brings him down. So as we end the opening quarter, the Argos are in front of the Blue Bombers by a count of 6-3 here at the Rogers Center in Toronto. Have a 6-3 lead on the Blue Bombers as we begin the second quarter.
Yeah, we look at the first quarter stats, pretty even. Yards passing, Winnipeg hasn't thrown the ball well, as no team does against the Argos. If you're going to beat him, you're going to beat him with the run, and it's going to be Charles Roberts. But both teams, I think, have looked better than kind of we talked about early, offensively at least. Their offenses have done well. Winnipeg certainly has run the ball well, but the Argos, Williams and Avery, have run the ball extremely well.
Troy Westwood getting set to punt. And he will try and angle this out of play, keep away from Livingston. Make that Keith Stokes back to receive this punt. And Stokes will get it at the 35, 40, 45, still on his feet and tripped up at the 50-yard line, but a flag is down.
Well, true to most punt returns, we see a flag on it, but this one's going to go against Winnipeg, which I would think the Argos would refuse this one because they have great field position. It's interesting with Livingston back there. We certainly saw Westwood go out of bounds with his punts, and I think a smart move by Coach Clemens to put Keith Stokes back there, thinking that
Winnipeg number 90. Penalties decline. First down,
just thinking, well, maybe with Keith Stokes back there, maybe he'll put it in play and we can get a return, and that's exactly what happened.
And they spot the ball just shy of the 50-yard line, where Damon Allen and company will be 1st and 10, leading 6-3. The winner today advancing to the Olympic Stadium in Montreal next weekend, next Sunday afternoon, against the Alouettes. And the winner of that one goes to the Grey Cup. Allen gives to Avery. And Avery trying to get to the midfield stripe. Brown is there to make the stop.
Well, between the dynamic duo today in the backfield, Williams and Avery, we're seeing Avery get the bulk of the work, and it makes sense because if you go back earlier in the season, he's the one that had the big game. And watch it here, continue with the ball fake for the reverse to Bruce, and they get 4 yards on first down.
And once again, Damon Allen trying to speed things up. Put a little stress on that Bomber defense. No huddle, and Allen almost trips up, gets the pass away, complete to Arline Bruce, and Bruce is close to picking up the first down, depending on whether they mark it.
That's a great effort by Damon Allen and also by Arline Bruce, because he didn't have that first down. As we watch Damon kind of stumble a little bit, then recover, and Arline Bruce, watch him catch it, but he still needs, we'll see the end of Damon Allen. And Arline Bruce, little run play with Keith Stokes to get in the way of Marlborough. Then he needs to get like 5 more yards. And he turns it up right away. He comes close to the first down and actually picks up the first down. So even though, you know, Arline Bruce is the guy, everyone knows it, they still get the football to him, and it's effective.
Great recovery on the part of Damon Allen. Terrific balance from a 43-year-old. Able to recover and get that pass away, as Darren pointed out. comes into this game having passed for over 4,600 yards in the playoffs. That's a career for a lot of quarterbacks in regular season. Double tight for the Argos. 1st and 10 from the 51. Williams up the middle. Picks up 5.
Well, you talked about his performance in the playoffs, and you know that's when it really counts. You get into the playoffs, that's when you need to step up, and that's what he's done. I just draw so many parallels between the 2004 season where Damon was hurt and missed 7 games, and this year he missed 6 games. I mean, almost identical statistically, except he threw more interceptions this year. So think that same thinking. Of course, 2004 they go on and win the Grey Cup. As long as he takes care of the football, doesn't turn it over, they still got a chance to win football games in the playoffs.
Allen with time. Goes to Crawford. Crawford wide open. Crawford with room. Crawford down inside the 25-yard line. Marlborough there to bring him down. Otherwise, Crawford was gone. 24-yard pickup for the Argos.
Well, these are the type of guys that need to step up, right? If you're going to take away Arlen Bruce in crucial situations, a guy like Crawford, a guy like Talbot, a guy like R.J. Soward need to make big plays when called upon, and that's all he does. He runs his route, caught the ball when it's thrown to him, and then turned it up and picked up big yards.
Double tight again from the 22-yard line. Ricky Williams crashing up the middle for the Argos.
Well, you see the formula for the Argos early. They've run this off-tackle play so many times with the fake reverse. Pound it up in there. Let Ricky Williams and Avery do them. Alternate who's carrying it to keep them both healthy and fresh. And then when you need it, get man-to-man coverage on 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6, and convert it. Make the play.
A pickup of 4, so it's 2nd and 6 for Toronto. From the Winnipeg 18-yard line. Allen with time, going deep, looking for Bruce. Bruce might have been interfered with at about the 2 or 3 yard line.
Well, I don't know, Steve. If you count Barron Simpson trying to run him over and drive him into the ground as interference, yeah, he might have been. You can't tell me they don't pay attention to Arlen Bruce. As he was running a crossing route from left to right, coming backside. Not going to be called.
Holding. Toronto number 56. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
That's on Chad, the center. But boy, and then now they'll force him into a field goal situation. But boy, they're really paying attention to Arlen Bruce in the 2nd down, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 7. They're throwing linebackers at him and then covering man-to-man over the top.
The key is they're picking up points on all these drives, and those points will add up. From the 25-yard line. 3rd field goal attempt, and it's wide from Prefontaine. Good on the first 2, but he misses this one, so the Argos will have to settle for a single. They lead the Bombers by 4, 7-3 in the 2nd. In the Rogers Center today, getting us closer to the action, Gavin Walls.
Mic'd up. Brought to you by Rogers Wireless, Canada's clearest wireless network.
I'm right here. I'm right here. Bring it on back. Take it on back.
The Bombers with possession, and their last 2 possessions, they've been 2 and out. They give to Charles Roberts. And Blink gets across the 40-yard line before being dragged down by Kevin Ivan.
So similar, these two offenses, with the game plan coming into the playoff game today. Run on 1st down with double tight ends, and then try to convert on 2nd and short. As we look at Sir Charles and his seasons, I mean, he's just been amazing. And I think hasn't gotten kind of the respect that he's deserved. But I think this year, certainly everyone has to sit back and take notice of the year he had.
I don't know about the lack of respect. We call him Sir Charles. What more does he want? And they give it to Sir Charles. Winters there to make the stop. Winters playing in place of Antonius Bonner.
See how the Argos have played Sir Charles defensively, trying to contain him. The flea flicker there with Stiegel. The tip by Winners. Some good defense, but when the Bombers have moved the football, they've done it by running, and it's been Charles Roberts, and they've done it fairly well throughout the first quarter.
The Bombers from their own 48, they're 1st and 10, and they give it to Roberts again. Tough yardage for Charles Roberts. Winners there to make the stop.
They've been consistent with this, and they've run it well, and to get away from Charles Roberts is a big mistake, even to go back on 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 6 and go away from him. As we see him just push it up in there, and a good job by that offensive line. I mean, he's the guy that's got you here in this position. Keep riding Charles Roberts. You know he's durable enough to carry it 25, 30 times in a game.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg from the 53. Roberts again. This time Roberts does it by himself. He wanted to go inside and then was forced to go outside, and has enough to keep the drive alive.
That's just what we were talking about. Why not? 2nd and 5, it's a passing down, but go to him. He does it all on his own. He sucks Jonathan Brown in with the move and then cuts on a dime and bounces it back out. You know, if he's your guy, give it to him. Keep giving it to him and let him take over the game.
From the 49. Winnipeg now 1st and 10, 8:20 to play, 2nd quarter. Argos lead 7-3. Little play action, buys Glenn some time, then he underthrows Milt Stiegel.
Wow.
This Tuesday night at 9 on CBC, Ian Tracy stars in Intelligence. It's a crime drama set in a world of espionage where the rules are there are no rules. Darren Flutie's kind of world. Intelligence, Tuesday at 9 on CBC. Speaking of intelligence, there's the head of intelligence for the Toronto Argonauts, Pinball Clemens, in a chess game with Doug Barry in his first CFL playoff game as head coach. 2nd and 10. They give to Roberts. Roberts, room up the middle, down to the 35-yard line.
When you have Charles Roberts in the backfield, as we see, there's a flag late here. I don't know what this is, but all bets are off as far as tendencies. Throwing it 2nd and 10, forget it. Give it to Charles Roberts. You got just as good as a chance picking up the first down with the ball in his hands and throwing it.
Flag coming away from the play. Andre Proulx with the call.
Yeah, we'll see who this one's on.
It's going against the Argos.
Unnecessary roughness. Toronto number 13. Penalty will be enforced from the end of the play. 15-yard, 1st down.
Clifford Ivory, and Rich Studler doesn't like the call.
And they'll take Cliff Ivory out of the game after that one. A little punishment, but the big part of that was picking up that 1st down, 2nd and 10, so tough. But Winnipeg can run the ball in situations. That's got to keep a defense on its heels when you don't know what's going to come, even though you get the down a distance. And right in the back, you see Cliff Ivory right behind Roberts give a shot to the head.
1st and 10, Blue Bombers from the Argos 20-yard line. Roberts, his 12th carry of the game. And Roberts down inside the 15-yard line. Going into that carry, he picked up 79 yards already.
It's just like the regular season for Charles Roberts. He's going to run well no matter who's playing or no matter what situation. And normally this is when we're talking, we've seen, what, 3-4 drives combined by both teams, and no one has put it in the end zone. But I'll tell you what, with these two teams, there's such low-scoring football teams, you need to make sure you come away with the field goal. You know, you need the 3 automatically. That's why the Prefontaine miss was so big. But if you get 7, I mean, that's bonus time.
Our director, Jeff Johnson, just came up with a great line. He said the only time you can't see Charles Roberts is when he goes into the huddle. You certainly see him outside of the huddle. And there he is again. Down inside the 10-yard line. Close to the 1st down. They needed 5 to keep the drive alive, keep it going. They'll get a measurement, and this will be close depending on the spot.
Yeah, watch him just get tripped up at the end, right? He looks like he's going for big, and then the leg comes out from, oh, that's a classic Mike O'Shea move. Watch the leg kick. Woo! I've seen that a few times. Actually had that done to me by Mike O'Shea.
14-year veteran of the CFL is Mike O'Shea. 15th playoff game. 1999 CFL's outstanding defensive player of the year.
You don't get all those tackles by doing everything textbook. You know, occasionally you got to use different limbs, not just your arms. Little leg tackle right there, and this is big. I mean, it's 3rd and inches. And I think, you know, with that 1 yard you get with the CFL defensive line having to be off a yard, go back to the quarterback sneak, right? Try to move the chains.
This is a no-brainer on the part of Doug Barry. I think you got to go for it here, just for confidence of the team. You're down 7-3, 6:26 remaining, 2nd quarter. Glenn keeps it. But flags are down. Procedure.
You know, I should have said it. As they were doing it, I thought, and it is procedure, I thought to myself, you know what they'll try to do is draw them all sides. But when you do that, you always risk one of your guys jumping. And what should have been an auto, if you just go up and go on 1st down, boom, you get the 1st down probably 9 out of 10 times. But they tried to get cute there, and now they're backed up 5, and they have no choice but to go for 3.
Procedure. Winnipeg 67, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Yeah, you see it right here along the left side of the offensive line. Ooh, that's a killer.
A costly procedure penalty against Abu Mekri. Troy Westward. Just outside the 22-yard line. Should be a chip shot for Westwood. It is. So a 2nd field goal from Westwood pulls the Bombers to within 1. Argos lead 7-6. Don't forget our warrior of the game. Log on to cbc.ca/CFL in the second half to vote for the player who you think showed the heart and determination of a warrior. We'll show you the winner in our post-game show. Warrior of the game is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. Might it be Kevin Glenn? Might it be Sir Charles? Bruce of the Argos. Sheer Livingston at the 15, 25, 30, still on his feet. Another good kickoff return from one of the best, Bashir Livingston. Let's go down to the sidelines and join Scott Russell with Tony Miles. Scotty.
Right, Steve. Tony Miles, 44 catches, 626 yards this year. Hasn't played in 2 games. He's got a bad foot. What is it about the foot that won't let you be successful, Tony?
Well, you know, with the foot, that's why all the pressure goes on your foot when you're running, you're walking, and things like that. And right now, I mean, I couldn't put that much pressure on it, you know, in order for me to go out here and contribute in a major way in this football game. So it would be wise for me not to go out there and play if I don't think I can be that efficient.
You got 2 weeks without practice. Should the Argos get to Montreal next week for the final, could you get ready, and how?
Oh, yeah, I definitely can get ready really fast. I mean, today, just being out here in this atmosphere, I feel a whole lot better. And, you know, in games like that, you can't miss. So I got to do everything I can do to play in that football game.
Good luck getting back, Tony. A big play for the Argos. Let's talk to Steve.
Thank you, Scotty. A big play here involving, you guessed it.
Well, yeah, Damon Allen, that Arlen Bruce block right there. Look at that one. I thought there was holding along that. I thought it was Arlen Bruce right in front, but what an effort by Damon Allen and Ricky Williams and Arlen Bruce, and then was that Talbot coming back, laying somebody out. I mean, you know it's playoff football with bodies flying around like that.
Holding, Toronto number 65. Penalty occurred before yards were gained. It will be a 10-yard penalty
Davis
from
again.
Previous point of scrimmage. First over.
That is a huge penalty. That negates a 43-yard pickup by Ricky Williams and a great effort by Damon Allen to get the ball away. But it all comes back because of the holding call.
Such a great play on so many ends of it. Damon Allen, Ricky Williams, Arland Bruce, and then Talbot's blocked. And again, back to Jerome Davis with that rib injury going against Canada. You know, he's a tough guy to control, and if you're a little banged up, sometimes you resort to holding.
1st and 20 Argos from their own 38. They lead by 1, 7-6. 5:17 to play, second quarter. Avery, but nowhere to run as he gets to the 35-yard line. Does not get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, good call. The second and first and very long. Go to the screen. The thing I always worry about in the screen, and watch John Avery, when he catches it, he can't look upfield, right? Because he has to turn around and look at the quarterback to catch the screen. If he was looking upfield, he would have known to cut back inside because the defender and Barron Simpson was outside. But that's what I don't like about the screen pass. Obviously, it can be a very effective play, but the running back or receiver isn't looking at the defense when he catches the ball.
And he ran into the arms of the minister of defense, the ordained minister, Barron Simpson. A lot of time for Damon Allen. He had his man wide open, but he overthrew Talbot.
Yeah, he did. He overthrew him, and it was going to end up out of bounds, but I'm concerned about Talbot, and watch him at the end of it. I think it's a well-thrown ball, but it does drift out of bounds, but he still never finds the football. Right there, what? He doesn't find it to the last second and adjust, and he had that problem earlier in the game also.
And you know who was open on that play was Bruce, through the middle.
Yeah, they had the design out and up, though, because the defensive backs were jumping on it, and they wheeled it up the sideline, and he was wide open. That was gone for a touchdown if it was thrown in bounds, and if Talbot could have seen it.
Prefontaine into punt. Let's see if he angles this one out of bounds. Albert Johnson III is back to receive the punt. Good spiral from Prefontaine inside the 20 for Johnson III. Johnson tries to get up to the 30-yard line. Brought down to about 27 or 28. So when we come back, the Bombers will have the ball, trailing by 1, 7-6 in the second. Canada will be in Winnipeg to watch the 94th Grey Cup. Don't miss your chance to be there in the stands as a new champion hoists the cup. There are still tickets available for this year's Grey Cup. Go to CFL.ca and click on Grey Cup tickets. Milt Stiegel, more than most, would love to be in that Grey Cup game. That's the one thing missing from his resume, a Grey Cup ring. They give to Roberts. At that time, little or no running room for Sir Charles. Couple of yards.
Well, you see the backs today have run extremely well when called upon. Roberts, of course, is going to carry a lot of the load for the Winnipeg offense. So he has 14 carries for impressive 90 yards. But Williams, 3 for 32, over 10 yards a carry. John Avery, 6 yards a carry with 4 for 24. So, hey, even as a former receiver, everyone loves a good running game. You know, these guys are controlling the football and not turning it over offensively.
2nd and 8 Blue Bombers. Glenn under pressure. Brought down shy of the line of scrimmage by England.
I think this is where you see Kevin Glenn and his maybe lack of mobility because of his ankle give him trouble.
You're watching the Scotiabank East semifinal. Argos leading the Blue Bombers 7-6. In his past 5 games, he has 14 tackles, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, 4 sacks, and 1 blocked field goal, and a sack today. Eric England is hot.
Yeah, he's getting hot when it counts.
Here we go, baby.
I want to hear him talk a little more, but in the playoffs, when it counts, he only had 5 sacks for the season. And you say, as of late, he's had 4 of those, and now 1 here in the playoff game.
Westwood punting. Livingston at the 51, backing it up. Looking for running room on the far side, and he's running out of room. He tries to reverse again, still on his feet. Finally forced out of play. at about the 46 or 47 yard line. A flag is down. A 35-yard punt from Troy Westwood. And Livingston, after all that effort, loses 3 yards on the play.
Yeah, I was going to say they had to call this on Fletcher. I mean, with all the calls on returns this year, from the side and from the back with blocking. And of course, I could be wrong because I see some going the other way against Winnipeg because it was called so late. I thought it was on Fletcher for blocking McKinley, but maybe it was a reaction of McKinley on Fletcher that they ended up getting.
Here's the call from Andre Proulx.
There is no infraction on the play. Toronto number 2 was pushed into the Winnipeg player. No infraction.
Coming up at the half, Canadian Tire at the half. Elliot Friedman and the panel will analyze this first half of play. And back in the day, we roll back the clock, 1987, and the Eastern Final. Here at the Rogers Center in Toronto, we're 2:34 from the half. 1st and 10 Argos from their own 47-yard line. R.J. Sauer, wide right. They give to Avery. Avery stopped as he hits the line of scrimmage, falls forward, might pick up a yard, yard and a half.
Ricky Williams a little slow to get up. Really they used Ricky Williams for the most part as the blocking back today for John Avery, and vice versa when Williams carries the ball. Avery's got to get in there and be the blocking back, which is, you know, that's kind of unique for these guys that are used to being the feature back in an offense.
In talking to Doug Barry yesterday, the Bombers head coach, he said he didn't expect to see number 20 and number 27 in the same backfield on too many occasions. Williams, the lone back, there with Allen now. Allen completes to Keith Stokes. Stokes has the first down as he comes up just shy of the 45-yard line.
Stokes is kind of this X factor unknown in today's football game, and I think can be huge. I mean, with Arlen and Bruce getting all that attention, here's a guy, you know, who used to just be a returner being utilized as a receiver. When he was in Montreal, he was just the kick returner. But he's a great athlete, can make big plays, as we just saw.
No huddle for Damon Allen and the Argos offense. 1st and 10. The Bombers 47. They get to Williams. Williams goes off the right side. Picks up 4 yards.
You know, and I just saw it from up here. After Avery came off the field on his last carry, I saw Coach Clemens get right in his face, and they exchanged. I don't know what happened there, but now we see Ricky Williams carrying it a little bit, and I see Jeff Johnson come in as opposed to Avery coming back in. I'm just wondering what's going on between Clemens and Avery, that they had to get in each other's face on the sideline.
From the 43, Toronto. 2nd and 6. Allen with time. Dumps it off to Jeff Johnson, and he's got space. Jeff Johnson down inside the 25-yard line of the Blue Bombers.
Well, I just don't think they lose anything. I actually think they gain a lot when Jeff Johnson comes onto the field, but I see him limping as he gets up. Patience by Damon Allen. He also had Ricky Williams down the middle. Let's watch the end of this run. If he doesn't do something to one of his legs, just comes down because he got up limping a little bit. But a great Jeff Johnson, just a great back. Again, a great runner, great receiver.
A 20-yard advance for the Argos. 1st and 10 from the 23.
That's John Avery right there, forced back into action because of the injury to Jeff Johnson. Just not on the same page. Wide open, uncovered at the slot back position. Just didn't turn around.
What did Pinball say in that face-to-face confrontation? It may have rattled Avery.
It wasn't pleasant, I can tell you that, because Pinball was not happy. But now, you know, your back that you counted on to come in for him, Jeff Johnson's hurt. You got no alternative but to put John back in there. And it may have been nothing. I don't know. It just looked kind of confrontational to me.
2nd and 10, Toronto from the 23 of Winnipeg. Allen with time, fires over the middle. Touchdown, Argos! Michael Palmer.
Wow, what a shot by Damon 12th, Griffin with a huge touchdown catch. And a playoff game against Winnipeg, boy, he's got to be excited about that. He beat Marlborough on the play. A really good cover guy. You can see the excitement in Palmer, and why not?
It's not the biggest crowd of the season, but it's certainly one of the noisiest here at the Rogers Center as the Argos put up a major score. They now lead 14-6. Palmer gets the touchdown, and the Argos go in front 14-6.
Watch Damon Allen roll left, and you see no free safety in them. That opens everything up for Palmer. And Marlborough almost makes the play, but Damon Allen just throws a bullet. You got no choice as a receiver but to catch that when it hits you in the chest like that. But that roll to the left gets the free safety out of the middle of the field, opens it up so you can come back to your receiver heading down the middle of the field. Great throw.
6 plays, 63 yards, just over a minute to do that. And Damon Allen, once again, elevating his game when it counts in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about before, though, with Arlen Bruce getting all the attention. You need those kind of unsung hero guys, Johnson, Palmer, Stokes, to step up and make plays, and they've done it for the Argos.
Albert Johnson at the 20. Brought down at the 25 by Rumpel. So Kevin Glenn will bring the offensive troops of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers onto the field, and let's see if they can answer that major scoring play from the Toronto Argonauts. The QB comparison.
Damon Allen, just like in 2004, playoff time came around after such a not-so-good season, lightened it up with 150 yards. Kevin Glenn has not been effective against this tough Argos secondary. You need to convert a couple of these passes when it's second and 5 or so. And his receivers have to step up and make plays.
The Bombers will start from their own 26. Roberts. And again, Roberts does most of that himself before Eric England is there to bring him down.
I think it's a good point, though, to stay under control, right? What you do well is run the ball with Roberts, so don't panic. You're down actually a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Down 8 points, you know, stay within your game plan. Run Roberts, and then when the opportunity comes, then you throw the ball.
A gain of 7 for Roberts. 2nd and 3 Bombers from their own 33. They fake to Roberts. Glenn with room has the first down, running out of bounds.
That's a good play. That's what they did early. Remember the first 2 plays of the game were bootlegs after fakes to Roberts. You still can see that he's maybe not 100% with that ankle, but running effectively enough that he can pick up the first down. You see Milt Stiegel get a little block there at the end, but they need to manage this clock now. You got 50 seconds. I'm sure they're thinking at the very least, let's get in position, try to get 3 points out of this drive.
R.J. Franklin into the game as a wideout for the Blue Bombers. 1st and 10 from the 38. Glenn with time. And he was looking for Derek Armstrong, but he was well covered on the play. Carter was there. Flag is thrown.
A little, it looks where it's in the position of defensive holding or maybe a little celebration after, because it was in the secondary where the flag was thrown. But it could always be. Well, we'll let the pros handle it. Let them make the call.
Pass interference. Toronto number 3, 10-yard penalty.
Wow.
First down.
I didn't know what he could go against Carter, who's in for Cliff Ivory. You remember Ivory? Watch the left side of your screen, and Carter closing on the play. I mean, wow. You know, I'm a receiver. I love it when they call interference, but I didn't see it on that one.
1st and 10, Winnipeg from their own 48. 45 seconds to play in the 2nd quarter. Glenn picked up. This could go all the way. It's Carter. Carter had space, but the Bombers closed down quickly and prevented Carter from going to the end zone. But a big turnover in the dying seconds of the second quarter for Toronto.
Absolutely a huge turnover. Carter, you know, maybe a little bit of poetic justice. Looked like great defense the play before, just steps in front. You got to be so careful when you throw an out ball against these Argonauts. They have great team speed from their defensive secondary, and we all know they love scoring touchdowns. I mean, they get one up the sideline, usually it's for a touchdown. Huge play.
Carter had 5 in the regular season, and a big one here in the Scotiabank East semifinal. Instant field position for the Argos. 1st and 10 from the Blue Bombers' 30-yard line. Allen with time. Late to Ricky Williams. And Williams dragged down at the 17-yard line. 1st down for the Argos.
The Winnipeg defense just isn't accounting for the running backs out of the backfield. They've completed a lot of footballs to Ricky Williams, to Jeff Johnson. You got to cover the running backs better. I know it's a lot to handle, all the receivers out there, but they go off the play action and they're hitting the running backs and they're wide open.
28 seconds remaining on the clock. 1st and 10 Toronto from the Winnipeg 17. Allen with time, looking deep. Arline Bruce is there, and it's picked off by the Blue Bombers. Carice Hebert. And Hebert brought up short of the 15-yard line, but a couple of big turnovers. This one going to Winnipeg.
Damon Allen had Arline Bruce on this because Hebert was high as a free safety over top of Arline Bruce, and if Damon had flattened him out, watch the throw at the end, and it's high into the corner where Arline Bruce was open low and away. You can see that at the end. If he keeps that low and away, Arline Bruce can make the play. But here it goes up more vertical towards the back of the end zone and brings the free safety in play. And if you remember earlier when it was man-to-man coverage, he made that great throw to Arline Bruce because it was man-to-man. But here it's zone, and I think you needed to flatten him out a little bit to give him a chance to catch it.
So what do you do if you're Doug Barry here? Just get Glenn to take a knee and kill off the 14 seconds and go into the room trailing 14-6.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the Blue Bombers are going to do.
They dodged a bullet on that one. I mean, a bad interception to Carter put him in great field position where you thought that at the very least they're going to get a field goal, and then they throw the interception, which even Steven, right? Interception for each, and they go down just a touchdown at halftime.
A huge sigh of relief on the part of Doug Barry, no doubt.
Timeout, Toronto.
And the Argos are going to take a timeout.
I don't know. Odd chance, maybe you'll get a punt and get one of your great returners out there. But it's not going to happen with only 13 seconds. That's a missed opportunity, and Pinball knows that. He's like, we've really had a chance to put him away. Winnipeg's not a team that scores a lot of points. You go up 2 touchdowns on them, it's going to be tough for them to come out of halftime and have a chance to win the football game. So he knows he could have put it away right there.
How big will that be? Stay with us and find out. As Winnipeg are attempting to kill the final seconds of this opening half here at the Rogers Center in Toronto. One more play should do it. The clock is running. Final seconds ticking away. As Glenn will once again take the knee, and time has run out. The teams will head to the room with the Blue Bombers leading or trailing 14-6, but the Argos with a big missed opportunity late in the second quarter when Hebert stepped in front of an errant Damon Allen pass that was intended for Arline Bruce III and picked it off. Let's get on to Scott Russell, who's with the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, Pinball Clemens. Scotty?
Yes, Steve, here's Michael Clemens. Talk about a diversified offensive effort on your team's part today. Palmer's involved, Johnson's involved, Bruce is involved. Are you pleased with that?
We're pleased with how we're moving the ball offensively. Not pleased at all with not getting points in the score zone. We had two series there. We were in the score zone. We got 1 point out of. We got an interception on one. We missed a field goal on another one. 2 other times we only got field goals instead of touchdowns. We got to get in that zone and convert to touchdowns. You can't keep teams in ball games in the playoffs.
I like the catch you made today. You explained it all. Thanks very much, Michael.
All right, thank you.
There you go, Steve.
Michael Clemens, whose offense is a little bit more consistent in this opening half. It is Jeff Johnson, the only casualty for the Argos in that half. And at the half, it is Toronto 14, Winnipeg 6. Welcome back to Toronto and the Scotiabank East semifinal here at the Rogers Centre. Right now, let's go down to the sidelines and join Scott Russell with the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Scott?
Steve, here's Doug Barry. You had said earlier that you don't expect big plays or count on big plays, but you did get the interception from Hebert. How important is it to seize any momentum that might be?
Well, that one was huge. We'd done the same thing in BC a week ago, and it just killed us before the halftime, and it was just great to get that momentum, maybe shifted back, balanced out a little bit before going into this third quarter. Toronto's going to probably receive the ball, and we just did not need to give up more points at the end of the first half.
Kevin Glenn and Charles Roberts have moved the ball on the ground, but might we see the air attack come to life in the second half?
The game's still 14-6, and we'll try to stay with our basic game plan as long as possible.
Thanks, Doug. Good luck.
Thank you.
Doug Barry, Steve.
Well, the game plan, Scott, was to get Charles Roberts involved. He has certainly done that in the first half. But the difference, Darren, I think, is the passing game of the Bombers compared to that of the Argos.
Absolutely. I mean, Damon Allen has thrown the ball extremely well and used everybody as far as his receiving core, and Kevin Glenn hasn't. I mean, early on he looked very mobile, but as the half went on, I think the ankle started to bother him. That plant foot for a right-handed quarterback, and he underthrew a couple balls to Milt Stiegel that could have been big plays.
Let's take a look at the stats in that opening half. As you see, in terms of passing, 117 to 61 make that rushing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over the Argos. But the big difference is the passing stats. 20 yards only for Kevin Glenn. They'll have to improve upon that if they're going to get that major score that they're looking for. Westwood with the kick to get this third quarter underway in the Scotiabank East semifinal. Stokes does some dancing and gets across the 30-yard line. So when Damon Allen comes out and gets this offense going, once again, pretty good field position, a 58-yard kick and a 14-yard return from Stokes.
I see McKinley down on the field for Winnipeg. But I think Barry's point was a tremendous point, because if the Argos went in and stuck the ball in on that last drive, whether it was 3 points or a touchdown, that would have forced them out of their game plan, and they would have had to throw the ball more. But now they can stick with Charles Roberts, down only 8 points, which is 1 converted touchdown.
Welcome back to the Rogers Centre and the Scotiabank East semifinal. McKinley coming off under his own steam, and Carter is coming in as his replacement. The Argos will be 1st and 10 from their own 31. They lead it 14-6. Ricky Williams, the lone back behind Damon Allen, takes the handoff up the middle. Picks up 3 or 4 yards on the play. Let's take a look at the passing chart for the Argos, Damon Allen, in that opening half.
Yeah, he took a couple chances deep, which is great for the Argos to open things up. That big one to Arlen Bruce from the corner out was so well thrown, favoring the left side a lot, but then short and to the right, and utilized his backs out of the backfield. I heard the guys at halftime talking about that. He's done that so well, whether it was Jeff Johnson, who's hurt, but also Ricky Williams out of the backfield, and I would expect them to continue to do that.
2nd and 7, Toronto. From their own 34. Allen looking for Talbot, and it's incomplete. Talbot forced to come back to the ball, which a good receiver should do, but it was underthrown. Talbot really no chance.
Yeah, no, he had to go far enough on his route, and he was wide open. It was 3rd and 7. He had to get up to the sticks just so he could get the first down on 2nd. Oh, it's tipped, and you see that probably had something to do with Damon not getting it there.
Not the kind of offensive series that Pinball Clemens would like the Argos to start this second half with. They're punting now. Prefontaine will get the punt away from his own 25. Good spiral. Don't forget our second CFL on CBC playoff game today, coming to you from McMahon Stadium in Calgary, where Danny Barrett and the Riders roll into town. Whitgain of the Gopher in tow, only allowed into the stands to take on the Stampeders. That's immediately following our Scotiabank East semifinal. We head west. And fortunately for the fans and the teams, it looks as if the weather is going to cooperate in Calgary. We are protected here this afternoon. We are inside Rogers Center under the dome. 1st and 10 for the Bombers. Roberts forced to run outside and then nowhere to go. 5 Argos surrounding Charles Roberts that time.
Well, the Winnipeg defense must have been tired of watching the Argos do this. Handed their feature back and then fake the reverse to a star receiver. So here they go. Give it to Roberts, fake it to Stiegel, but nowhere to run with Ivan right there. And then everyone else coming to help out. Steinhauer in on the tackle with Ivan. Argos do a great job defensively at staying at home and knowing what their responsibilities are.
A rare loss of 2. Charles Roberts. Kevin Glenn with time, looking deep. And he was looking for Chris Brazel way downfield, but Brazel was covered by a pair of Argos deep. So that throw is going to have to be perfect, and it wasn't.
Well, they had man-to-man coverage. A lot of pushing by Ivory. I don't know, we might see it at the end of this. A lot of pushing, a little, you know, and it's the same type of coverage we saw in Arland Bruce with Marlborough earlier, where the defensive back stays on the outside shoulder and try to throw it high. But Brazel has to win in man-to-man coverage. It's just, quarterback has no one else to go to. You got to win on that route.
During the break at halftime, Troy Westwood was out by himself, punting, practicing, angling the punt out of play. He can't do it that time. It's taken by Livingston. Livingston still on his feet. A flag is down as he gets up just shy of the 40-yard line.
Yeah, it's going to get called on Cliff Ivory again for an illegal block, but you know, he worked on it all at halftime, doing it perfectly, kicking it out of bounds, and this time he puts it in the middle of the field where Livingston can be very dangerous.
14-6 is the score. Lots of time remaining to play, 3rd quarter here in Toronto. Most playoff games are won and lost in the trenches. Our man in the trench is the Blue Bombers' Gavin Walls.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers Wireless, Canada's clearest wireless network.
Do they understand we don't have room for mistakes? Do they understand that? You owe me a play. Huh? Yeah.
Double tight. Gavin Walls. Mic'd up for us this afternoon. Double tight for the Argos. 1st and 10 from the 17. Quick pass to Arland Bruce. Bruce doing the rest, and Bruce up across the 30-yard line and a late flag.
Well, here's the 2 tight end set where they utilize that man coverage, and they're going to get a face mask at the end of it. With the receivers getting that running start at the line of scrimmage, and it's Arland Bruce on Omar Evans.
Major foul, face mask, Winnipeg number 3, 15-yard penalty. Penalty will be enforced from the end of the play. 1st down.
And that answer on Marlborough, who's actually got beat for the touchdown by Palmer earlier in the game, and we'll look at it right here at the end. Inadvertent, the 5-yard variety just caught the mass, but
first and 10, Toronto from the 45. Avery goes nowhere. Good penetration on the part of the Blue Bombers.
I was just going to say how much that 2 tight end and 3 receiver set has been so effective for the Argos, both running and throwing the football. But here they go back to the fake reverse with Arland Bruce, but this time stopped a lot better by that defensive front.
Cam Warner leading the way that time for the Bombers. A loss of 3, 2nd and 13, Toronto. From their own 42. Allen completes on the far sidelines to Palmer, who has the lone touchdown in this game for the Argos, and that'll be close to a first down.
That's just too much space. Winnipeg brought pressure off the edge, a little blitz because they figure they'll complete it underneath and will make the tackle. But now Evans, I mean, he gave Arland Bruce the respect to give him a bigger cushion. But Michael Palmer, you got to come up tighter on Michael Palmer and make that tackle. So much closer, so much further away from the first down mark.
As Darren has pointed out a couple of times in our telecast today, the difference in a playoff game oftentimes, many times, comes from the unsung hero, and certainly Palmer, one of those unsung heroes for the Argos thus far.
Yeah, it's the lone touchdown of the game Michael Palmer has in man-to-man coverage against Marlborough, but also a play like that where it puts them in a position where they can go for it on third instead of having to punt. I just think Evans gives them too much space on that one, knowing they have to throw it quickly because they're bringing pressure on Damon Allen.
Short yardage situation, and Michael Bishop, the backup quarterback, comes in relief of Damon Allen, needing less than a yard.
Yeah, here's where now when Winnipeg was in this situation in the scoring territory, they tried to go on 2 and illegal procedure. I'm sure you'll see a quarterback sneak here from Bishop.
Bishop likes to go to the right side of that offensive line, and that will be very close.
That is going to be very close. I think he's short. It depends on the mark, and it's a tough mark coming in from the side with all those bodies. You know you have it if you're past the line. If you're short, I think that's short. He's way short of that line, of the midfield line.
What a stand this would be for the Bombers if they can take over here.
He's short. He's short.
And they've done it. Winnipeg taking over on downs and getting excellent field position. Doug Berry liking every second of that.
Yeah, watch. I see there's no real push from that offensive line. Simpson diving over the top, and it's so tough to mark that ball. There's no exact science to it, but yeah, Coach Marshall proud of that defense, keeping them in the football game.
So it's 1st and 10, Winnipeg. From the 54-yard line. Bombers trail 14-6. 10-17 remaining, third quarter. Little play action. And then Kevin Glenn just fires it over the head of Chris Brazel. Let's check the passing chart of Kevin Glenn, and it's not a pretty sight.
No, not a good percentage, 2 for 7, and with that incompletion, he's going to be 2 for 8, 20 yards. You just got to help out Roberts a little bit. You know, you don't have to light it up, but you need more than 20 yards, and you need a better than a 2 for 8 going for you. You got to complete about at least 50% of them.
2nd and 10 for the Bombers. You'd think they'd love to be able to make hay out of this great stand by their defense and put a major on the board. From the 54. Roberts nowhere to go. Roberts. Eric England is there to bring him down. We mentioned that England in the last 5 games has been hot for the Argos, and he's hot this afternoon.
Well, the Winnipeg offense has become predictable now because of their lack of ability to throw the ball. They got to depend on Roberts. And again, 2nd and 10. I think the Argos know what's coming at them because Kevin Glenn is not getting it done, and the passing game isn't getting it done for the Blue Bombers.
So the chess game between these two teams is stalled at midfield. Troy Westwood back to punt. Keith Stokes all by himself, getting set to receive this kick from Westwood.
Wow.
That's an excellent punt from Westwood. A terrific punt. It takes a great bounce. Stokes is going to try and run it out, and he does, but he only gets out to about the 3 or 4 yard line. So Damon Allen and the Argos offense will come from a hole when we come back to the Rogers Center in Toronto. Maybe a mistake on the part of the Argos.
Yeah, great punt by Westwood. I think the mistake is originally not being deep enough that you can catch that football. Now once it rolls into the end zone, now you're put in a bind, but certainly at this time of the game, with 9:21 left in the third quarter, that 1 point doesn't loom as large. I know it's 14-6, and he's thinking, hate for it to be 14-7 and just a touchdown, but field position so important. Now they got to start within their 4 instead of the 35-yard line.
1st and 10 for Damon Allen and the Argos. They give to John Avery, and Avery picks up a couple, gets out to about the 6 or the 7 yard line. Well, let's go down to Scott Russell, get a Jeff Johnson update. Scotty?
That's right, Steve. Jeff Johnson made a great play in the first half, which ultimately led to the touchdown by Michael Palmer. And then Johnson came off the field. Here's the play he made. Nice catch and run by Jeff Johnson. Came off, went to the dressing room. He had the left heel iced, and Aaron Brooks, the head athletic therapist for the Argos, tells me that Jeff Johnson is done for the football game.
Yeah, not good. You see him not putting the pressure on it with the ice on it. That's, you know, hate to think about what that is, but most likely a breakdown there in his foot somewhere, which hurts him because Jeff Johnson's a great football player that was helping him in the first half.
2nd and 7, Toronto. From their own 7. Damon Allen looking for Palmer. And Malvo does a good job of staying with Palmer step for step, although I'm not sure that Palmer could have reached that ball.
No, man-to-man coverage, though, and Palmer beat him off the line of scrimmage to the right of your screen watch. I mean, that is a little more vertical, and I think Palmer had a chance for that one. It's such a dangerous coverage to be in with all that field behind you. To be in man-to-man and just depend on your free safety to cover the whole field.
Does that not make that safety look like it might have been a better call? Or lack of on the...
Yeah, for Winnipeg to take advantage of that, they needed to hold him. Now they're going to get great field position.
And they're not going to give up the points. They punt it away. Albert Johnson, and he steps out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Don't forget our Warrior of the Game. Log on to cbc.ca/CFL in the second half to vote for the player you think showed the heart and determination of a Warrior. We'll show you the winner in our post-game show. Number of players certainly high on my list. How about the Argos, Eric England?
Yeah, England's played great. Of course, Charles Roberts has played extremely well for Winnipeg. And some, as we mentioned, unsung heroes stepping up with Talbot and the receiving corps for the Argos. But again, that Stokes bringing it out has given Winnipeg great field position. They need to capitalize, and they need to do it right now.
1st and 10, Winnipeg from the 43. They give it to Roberts. And again, Eric England answers the bell and makes the stop on Sir Charles.
They're just getting so much penetration off the offensive line, and we'll watch England just breaks inside and disrupts the whole play. You got to firm up the gaps between the center and the guard, and the guard and the tackle to be able to run up the middle effectively. And you get people shooting through those gaps, you never get off the ground with the running game.
A passing situation for the Bombers, and Kevin Glenn has not completed the pass since the opening quarter. Glenn passing, and he is complete this time. Derek Armstrong. And Armstrong has the necessary yardage for the first down.
To be effective against match coverage, as we watch the replay, I always thought you had to work to the weak side, which is with the ball on the left hash, that's the left side of the field, and that's what Winnipeg did. They put 3 receivers into the boundary, and they worked crossing routes and all sat in the zones against Mats. I think that's how you beat the Argos secondary, going to the weak side.
From the 31, the Bombers 1st and 10. They give to Roberts. Roberts running into a brick wall and then bouncing off, which he does so neatly, and forced to go to the right side to pick up a couple.
Yeah, they've really shut down Roberts in this early on in the second half. We're halfway through the third quarter here. They're taking away what they did most effectively. That was Roberts, and they're forcing Kevin Glenn to beat him. Kevin Glenn's going to have to step up with that receiving core and make plays in the second half for the Blue Bombers to have a chance.
There's a comparison. Roberts in the first half, Roberts in the second half. Not good if you're a Blue Bomber fan. 2nd and 7. Roberts on his feet, and he gets the first down.
Well, this is what we talked about in the first half that no other team in the CFL can do. They can't be in a 2nd and 7 and even contemplate running the ball consistently. But Winnipeg can, because they have a guy back there that's led the CFL in rushing 3 of the last 4 years. Just a hard, tough runner, and he picks up a big first down to get down to the 17-yard line.
20 carries for Sir Charles, 107 yards so far. 1st and 10, Winnipeg from the Argos 18. Roberts again. A little bit of daylight. Down to the 10-yard line.
Well, you see the difference in the last 2 runs compared to when he wasn't running, where he didn't have any room early, where they were penetrating those gaps, which are between the guard and center. Watch up the middle. No one gets through it this time. Man on man, on O'Shea, on Ivan, driving, keeping back. That's the key. Watch England up top. England is all over the place today. I'll tell you, you nailed it on the head. He's out to play today.
2nd and 2, Blue Bombers. Again, it's Roberts. Roberts down to the 1-yard line.
Out here.
Coach Barry talked about it, didn't he? To Scott at halftime. We're not going to get away with what we do well. We run the ball well. It's what we do. And you see Roberts, he's just so tough, and this offensive line has corrected what they were doing early in the third quarter. Getting a body on a body, and just as Val St. Germain said before the game, let's just give the guy a crease and Charles Roberts to do what he does.
1st and goal to go, Winnipeg. From the 1. Guess who's going to get the ball? I know it, you know it, so do the Argos. Charles Roberts, touchdown, but a flag is down.
I think most likely that's usually an offsides on defense, but you know, maybe someone from Winnipeg moved to draw him, but
offside. Toronto 37.
There's the touchdown they needed, and it's again back to Coach Barry. It's 14-6, or was 14-6, with just a touchdown now. And if I were them, I'd also kick the extra point. Shea not too happy. He should be happy they didn't catch the leg whip tackle he had earlier in the first half. Anyone offside?
Check their lineup.
I don't know where you would see someone, maybe a little bit at the end. But hey, doesn't matter anyway. Roberts jumped up and over for the touchdown.
Here's the extra point attempt from Troy Westwood. It is good. So the Bombers moving up on the Argos with 3:21 to play, third quarter. Welcome back to Toronto, where you're watching the Scotiabank East semifinal of CFL on CBC.
Yeah, let's take a look at the touchdown, because I'll tell you what, Mike O'Shea is just fuming. You see Roberts go up and over. I don't see O'Shea anywhere. You know what? The offensive line for the Blue Bombers, Jones, St. Germain, Kahn, Abu McGrack, and Wilson, have just picked it up, because they had people going through the gaps early in the third quarter. But boy, they refocused themselves and put together a great drive right there.
Westwood with the kickoff. Following the score, Arline Bruce, a 25. And comes up just shy of the 30-yard line. What a game Roberts has had thus far. And this is the drive.
Yeah, he's had a great game. And again, it was all Charles Roberts. They had the one completion to Armstrong to keep the drive alive. But again, the offensive line, those issues have been taken care of, and they got body on a body and just giving Roberts that crease to let him do his thing.
Let's go, D, let's go, D.
Ate up a lot of time, 4 minutes and 32 seconds. Let's see if the Argos can answer that major score from the Blue Bombers. They are 1st and 10 from their own 28. Avery gets out of the grasp of the first Blue Bomber, but he can't get away from the next 3.
You know, football and coaching is all about adjustments. This play had huge holes in the first half with the off tackle for Avery or Ricky Williams in the fake reverse. And now the defense has made an adjustment. They've taken away those gaps, and they're there, and they're taking away the run. And that's Coach Marshall. I mean, you go into halftime, you see what was beating you, and you correct it, and you make the adjustments.
Future head coach in the CFL. If you do, forced out of the pocket. Flag is thrown. That's a little bit of the vintage old Damon Allen.
Well, that's something we haven't seen a lot of this year, though, and that would have come back anyway, but they'll decline that and make them punt. But they used to see Damon Allen do that a lot, and, you know, 2nd and long and pick up a 1st down. And right on cue, look at this. Staying in the pocket in 2003.
Holding. Toronto 65. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Out of every 6th play he'd drop back the pass, he would rush one of those. And that stayed consistent 03, 04, 05. Well, this year it's 13 times. It's more than double that. And that was what Damon Allen did so well. As you see Coach Rita talking to Damon Allen.
Adam Rita taking over as the Argos offensive coordinator following the firing of Kent Austin here in Toronto at midseason. Prefontaine with the punt. It's a low spiral taken by Albert Johnson on his knees at the 35, and he gets out to about the 40-yard line. So the Bombers will take over 1st and 10 with good field position. Wednesday, catch an all-new Dragon's Den. Hopeful entrepreneurs pitch to wealthy investors. Will their ideas come to life, or will their dreams be shattered? Dragon's Den, Wednesday at 8 o'clock on CBC television.
Well, they hung in there. They used their running game, and now they're right in there, 14-13, and you can feel the momentum has gone over to Winnipeg. Can they sustain it? And you know how they're going to sustain it, just as you said. It's going to be a big dose of Charles Roberts.
1st and 10 Blue Bombers from their own 39. Good play action. Buys Glenn some time. Has a man open. It's complete. Stiegel.
He's gone.
Stiegel looking for that extra gear, and he's shut down of bounds at the 11-yard line.
You know, we talked about this before the game also, that they're going to depend on Roberts, right? He's going to do the bulk of the work, but that 1 or 2 or 3 plays from your receiving core, you're going to need to make them. And here it is, who else but Milt Stiegel with a 60-yard reception, doing it off the scramble, just getting open, working against Orlando Steinhauer. Boy, when he's in the open like this, I naturally think he's gone, but had the angle and they forced him out of bounds. Huge play by Kevin Glenn, who, you know, at the time he was 2 for 8 a while ago, but now 2 big completions, and that one to Milt Stiegel.
1st and 10 Blue Bombers from the 11. Roberts finds a hole. Roberts, TD.
Well, I guess they came out and they answered the question whether they could keep the momentum. Just a huge completion, Glenn to Stiegel. Roberts finishing it off, and wow, they're in great position now. And this all goes back to that last drive for the Argos in the first half, that interception looming bigger and bigger. Because now Roberts and this offensive line is looking like they take control of this football game.
And the great defensive stand by the Bombers defense on that third down gamble from the Argos, looming ever bigger in this picture. Point after is good from Troy Westwood, so the Bombers jump in front of the Argos here in Toronto. You're watching the Scotiabank East semifinal, the CFL on CBC.
Well, this offensive line has done the job. Let's watch him behind Val St. Germain, the left guard, and Obi Khan at center, and just the quick cutback. See Reginald in there. I mean, everyone, they've just taken over this football game and given Charles Roberts that crease he needs. And the one big play, right? Not a lot of milk Steagle this game, but boom, out of the blue, he steps up and makes that huge 60-yard reception to put him in position to get the touchdown to go up 20-14.
Arlan Bruce and Keith Stokes back to take this kickoff from Troy Westwood. Stokes inside the 15, at the 20, 30, 40, still on his feet, still going. Great effort by Keith Stokes.
What a huge return, and again, special teams jumping up. I'll tell you what they did. It was kick to Stokes, and all the way on the other side was Arlan Bruce. You see people running away from Stokes. Did you see that? Because they were all worried about him turning and throwing to Arlan Bruce, who had swung way wide on the other side. It's the same concept as that fake reverse. You know, you put Arlan Bruce, people are going to pay attention to him, and Stokes had one guy to beat, and he did it and put him in great field position.
A 44-yard return from Stokes, giving Allen and the Argo offense excellent field position. 1st and 10 from the 52-yard line. Allen over the middle, and it was in and out of the arms of John Avery.
Back to the running backs for Damon Allen. I think that's your best matchups. Either Ricky Williams or John Avery, and just out of the reach of John Avery on this one. Would have been a great catch. But a well thrown ball. You want it away from the defender, out where only your guy can get it. McKinley back in the game after the injury and coverage. That's a matchup, boy. As an Argo guy, you got to love that. Avery on McKinley. You got to think you win with speed there.
2nd and 10, Toronto. Bombers are coming. Allen forced to run for it.
Wow.
And he maybe have picked up the first down. It'd be close.
That's Damon saying, you know what? It's the playoffs, but he took a shot to his back. Good to see him get up. But hey, it's time. I gotta tuck it and go if nothing's there. And very close to the first down. See, I think this is what you see as opposed to the regular season where we showed the stat 13-1 when he drops back, he would run it. In the playoffs, I think you'll see Damon do this more because now it's all right. I just got to go.
Well, once again, the Argos are shy of the first down by inches. Last time they tried this, they brought in Michael Bishop. He went to the right side of the offensive line, came up short, and the Argos turned it over on downs. So once again, it is 3rd and inches from the 43-yard line of the Blue Bombers. This time, Damon Allen stays in, goes straight ahead on the quarterback sneak, and should have the first down.
Yeah, this time they go first sound too, which means get set, and they go right off the first sound.
We're heading to the 4th quarter in a good one here at the Rogers Center in Toronto. Welcome back to the Scotiabank East semifinal. 1st and 10 Argos from the Bombers 42. Allen with a strike. And it's complete. just outside the 30-yard line. Keith Stokes, one of those unsung heroes, doing the job for the Argos.
Yeah, Stokes has stepped up and been a great receiver. Rushing yards, 156 for Winnipeg, 81 for those Argos that needed to run the ball well today. But Allen's played well, thrown for 188. And I think the passing, which was 20 yards for Winnipeg with Glenn in the first half, that granted they got 60 in one chunk to Stiegel, but huge to be at 91 yards now.
They spot the ball at the 31. Toronto 1st and 10. Allen underthrows. He was looking for Talbot. Wasn't even close. Maybe Talbot was supposed to make the move to the sidelines and cut left. He went straight down the field.
Well, they're getting that man-to-man coverage, and they're throwing these hitches and completing them. And I don't think Talbot and Damon Allen have been on the same page all day today. We saw it in the first half where he was open a couple times and couldn't see the ball. Well, you need to take advantage of the soft coverage Winnipeg's playing in man-to-man, and just not on the same page again, Talbot and Damon Allen.
Bombers lead 20-14. Early fourth quarter, 2nd and 10 Toronto. Allen had his man open, but it was deflected before it could get to Soward by Charlton.
Nice defensive play, slightly underthrown, but also had Michael Palmer right underneath, and it's coming right at you right here. You see 77 curl up, was open, but he's tried to go up the sideline to Soward and just underthrown a little bit. Needed a little more arc on that ball, and it's a touchdown because nobody's behind him.
So Prefontaine will come on and attempt the field goal to close the gap to 3 points. It's a 38-yarder. Prefontaine good on 2 of 3 so far. And this one is good. So Toronto now down by 3 points with 13:29 to play in the fourth quarter. And don't forget, the winner of this game will move on to face the Montreal Alouettes next Sunday at the Big O in Montreal. And if you're in the Montreal area and want to see that game, call 1-800-361-4595 or log on to www.montrealalouettes.com and scoop up those tickets, whether it's Winnipeg or Toronto. I got a feeling it's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a great football game, and I'll tell you what, Montreal is going to have their hands full with either team it is. Both great defenses, and both have shown they can move the ball offensively.
1st and 10, Blue Bombers from their own 35 following the field goal. They fake a handoff to Roberts. Kevin Glenn going deep. Armstrong with the catch. He's stretched out and comes up with it.
Armstrong has played tremendously. He's only played in 5 football games down to the end of the year, but had 305 yards receiving, has become that alternative to Milt Stiegel. And wow, watch this play. Talk about that huge play at the big time. He's battling up the sideline with Younger. A little bit push off, but makes a great catch over the shoulder.
47 yards. The strike from Kevin Glenn to Derek Armstrong. And that takes a lot of heat off the other Bombers receivers when Armstrong is playing like that. Winnipeg now 1st and 10 from the Argos 28-yard line. Roberts running outside. The Argos close it down pretty good, and Winters leading the charge to take down Sir Charles.
Yeah, they controlled Charles on that one, but you talk about taking pressure off. It's taking pressure off Charles Roberts. If you can complete a couple big ones, that's going to open things up for Roberts, and you know he doesn't need much of a crease. Nice tackle by Chuck Winters, filling in for Antonius Bonner today at outside linebacker.
Bombers 2nd and 9 from the Toronto 27. They lead by 3, 20-17. Time for Glenn. He's got a man open. Brazel, touchdown, Winnipeg.
Oh, wow. The receivers have stepped up, and Kevin Glenn has stepped up in the second half. You're going to take Charles Roberts away from us? Well, we'll take advantage of that by going deep. Did it with Armstrong, and here's Brazel just over the top. You know, he just got the defense. Parker, I think, on that one. Does he get his feet down? There's one, which is really all you need. All you need is one, but he does the second one just for gravy right there. But it came too flat underneath. Needed to take a more vertical angle to make a play on that ball.
And Westward is good with the point after. And the Bombers lead 27-17. Welcome back to Toronto, where you're watching the Scotiabank East semifinal of CFL on CBC. The Bombers up by 10.
Yeah, here's the replay, and watch the angle Parker takes as Kevin Glenn throws this great ball. You see Parker right there. If we could freeze it, took the angle too flat, and the ball's going to be thrown right here over top, and the free safety's nowhere in the play. What a great ball by Kevin Glenn with those struggles in the first half to come back and make the play, the throw to Armstrong, the throw to Stiegel, and then Brazel for the touchdown. Three different guys, all huge plays.
We got a lot more plays to make, baby.
Well, let's see if the Argos can respond to that challenge from the Blue Bombers. Keith Stokes at 15, gaining speed, looking for room on the outside, still on his feet, and crosses the 30-yard line before McKinley is there to drag the Argonaut down. Not bad field position for Damon Allen and the Argos offense.
There's a little change from first half to second half. I mean, Glenn has completed some big balls, mostly those three passes to Armstrong, to Stiegel, and then a touchdown to Brazel. I'll tell you what, the Argos are down 10. And their playoff hopes alive. Their Grey Cup hopes all riding on this, and they're not a team that scores a lot of points. They're going to have to throw the football now.
10:52 to play. Fourth quarter. Allen has Talbot wide open. Talbot tried to spin and get away from Bean, but Bean wasn't fooled on that play. But he does get out to the 36-yard line.
Now, I think at this point, and what we just saw right there is the Bomber defense and Coach Marco playing a lot more zone. Because now you're not going to put as much pressure. You want to sit back, let them complete the underneath routes, make them chew up a lot of the clock, because you're up 10 points.
A gain of 6. Second and 4, Toronto. From their own 37. Allen over the middle to a wide open Skeet Stokes. Stokes has the first down. Hebert made the tackle.
I love it, Steve, because as soon as I say something, they go and do the complete opposite, and they blitz them, and they put pressure on them, and Damon finds Stokes wide open. Stokes has played well. I mean, for a guy that wasn't a receiver coming into this league, he's really stepped in and played great slot back for the Argos.
First and 10, Toronto, from the 49. Allen going deep. Looking for Palmer, and it's out of reach for Michael Palmer.
Well, we haven't said Doug Brown's name a lot today, but Damon Allen just got a nice close conversation with Doug Brown, who's nursing that sore shoulder. Watch the end of this. Hello, I'm here, still playing. You know, Brown's responsible for occupying those offensive linemen for most of the game and freeing up Simpson to make all the tackles, but boy, a great football player. Only about 90% with that banged up shoulder, but.
And he was the more doubtful of the two throughout the week, Kevin Glenn and Doug Brown, but both have answered the bell and are playing well for the Bombers. Allen with time, looking for R.J. Soward, and Soward was going one way, the ball the other. Soward couldn't get back to it, incomplete. So the Argos will have to punt.
This for a professional football team should be such an easy passing catch. He's wide open, sit down, pass the first down, and just hit him. There's nobody around him. You know, whether it's Soward or Damon, I thought Damon just reared back and gunned that one. Well, really, all he had to do was put it on his numbers, and they move the chains, and they get the first down.
Prefontaine with the punt. Albert Johnson at the 15. Now to 20. And comes up to the 24-yard line. So when we come back, the Bombers, who have a 10-point lead, will go to work on offense.
The toughest in the land deserves the toughest truck. Vote for the Warrior of the Year. GMC and CBC want to know who you think should be this year's Warrior. Log on to cbc.ca/warrior and vote for the player tough enough to win a truck. Win one for yourself. Log on to newsierra.gmcanada.com for a chance to win an all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. But like any Warrior, you can't win if you don't play. Log on now.
This V6 gives you great towing and hauling capabilities. Perfect. Why don't we climb in and I'll point a couple things out? All right.
You'll notice right away how roomy the interior is.
Yeah, very roomy.
There's also extra storage under the back seat.
Back there?
Yeah, back there.
The Toyota Tacoma. You're tougher the moment you climb in.
Just a reminder, catch all new episodes of The Hour next week. Guests include the author, John Grisham, and Canadian rock superstar, Tom Cochran. Plus, Rick Mercer visits the newsstand. That ought to be fun. The Hour with George Stroumboulopoulos, weeknights at 11 o'clock on CBC. 1st and 10 for the Bombers. From their own 24-yard line, they lead by 10. Play action. And then Regenball was the intended receiver, but Kevin Glenn really had no time at all.
Well, let's take a look at Winnipeg and their touchdowns. Settled for field goals early. But there's Roberts on the 1-yard plunge. Guess who again? Roberts, and here's the big throw, Kevin Glenn to Brazel for the touchdown. I thought they'd come out and really try to eat up some clock and go right back to Charles Roberts. So it's surprising they would throw the ball on 1st down.
2nd and 10 now for the Bombers from their own 24-yard line. Kevin Glenn puts it up and out of reach for the intended receiver. Not even close.
No, not. And we didn't see Charles Roberts touch the ball in a time where they're up 10, 8.5 minutes to go, and they needed to eat up some clock. And I was curious, the clock on the first incompleted pass, for some reason they started the clock after that, and it ate up about 15 seconds, where usually it stops and doesn't start to the next play. So I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, they're 2 and out when they could have really put away the game right there.
That look on the face of Sir Charles. Why not me?
Yeah.
Why not give it to me? I've done it all day. And you're right, we're up by 10. We're in the 4th quarter. Possession and the ability to kill the clock is the key. Troy Westwood getting set to punt. Good high spiral. Stokes forced back inside the 35-yard line. Gets to 32. Hebert is there to pull him down. Michael Bishop's coming in to quarterback. The Argos. Is that the result of that Doug Brown hit, do you think?
Well, it could have been a combination of the Brown hit or the last incompletion. I think Damon's fine. I think it's playoff time, and we need to move the football pretty seriously right now. We haven't done it for a long time, so we got to turn to somebody else. You know, that throw to Soward where Damon just gunned it when he didn't have to gun it and he was wide open, I think spelt the end of him. And now they're going to see what Bishop can do.
Bishop
wide open,
guns it. Arland Bruce still on his feet. Oh. It's a foot race, and Bruce is going to go the distance.
Wow. Well, I don't know, Steve. You think it was a good decision to bring in Bishop? I'm not sure.
Stroke of genius.
Oh, man. And why not? You're going to come into the game, go to Arlen Bruce. You know what they saw? As I talked about, instead of man-to-man, what they were playing a lot earlier in the football game, it was zone coverage. But boy, no one covered the corner route from Arlen Bruce. Watch him find that seam. Again, Marlborough over top with responsibility, and what a job by Bruce staying up after taking the hit and then going the distance. Maybe he is G-R-E-A-A-A-T.
Prefontaine with the point after. And the gap is closed to 3 in an Eastern semi-thriller. What a game this has turned into. The Argos now within 3 points of the Bombers.
Watch the move by Arlen Bruce. The patience, attention to detail as a receiver. That head fake right there made Marlborough go inside, and then his toughness took over. Kelly Malvo was a little flat, not getting deep enough to help out, but boy, he beat Marlborough again. That's who Palmer beat for the touchdown.
And guess who's on the kickoff team? Ricky Williams. Seeing a little special teams action. Albert Johnson goes outside. Flag is down, and Johnson knocked out a play at about the 30-yard line.
Ricky Williams getting up off the ground. I don't think he's covered kicks since his freshman year in Texas, probably. Someone laid him out there, but hey, it's playoffs, right? Put your best athletes out there. Go make a play.
Well, he snuck onto special teams last week against Montreal, the opening play of the game, and caught pinball by surprise.
Holding, Winnipeg number 56, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Holding against the Bombers. Moving it back to the 15-yard line. Don't forget our second game today, the Scotiabank West semifinal. Henry Burris and Kerry Joseph getting set to battle each other at McMahon Stadium. You can see the snow on the ground, but the weather forecast is a good one, so it should favor both the passers, Burris and Joseph. Roberts still on his feet. Big hole. Fumble. Loose ball. First fumble of the game. And the Argos take over.
Wow, this is great, because I talked about Antonius Bonner being out of the football game, and maybe it's going to be a long, cold winter for the Argos, but who makes this play on Charles Roberts? No one else but Chuck Winters. Watch him strip the ball at the end of this nice run. There's Winters right there. Gone. Steinhauer pouncing on it. What a great play by Chuck Winters. You know, that's just so heads up. He had picked up a first down, going along. You might as well take a chance and try to rip it out there. And there's a lot of great plays in this football game, but as of now, that's the play of the game.
The clock is running. Just over 6 minutes and 50 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. Toronto trailing by 3. They're 1st and 10 from the 33-yard line. Michael Bishop in a quarterback. Completes it to Ricky Williams. Williams gets out of one grasp and is brought down inside the 15.
There's a quarterback that's been watching the game from the sideline. A backup quarterback that had his head in the game. He knows where to go with the football. The backs have been open all day. Go back to the running back. Ricky Williams one-on-one with McKinley again, and he just beats him with speed. Nice stiff arm, just like his Heisman he got in the college days. Goes up the sideline.
Damon Allen can only stand and watch. He's out of the game for now. Bishop is in. The Argos 1st and 10 from the Bombers 15. Bishop through the end zone. Sauer, touchdown!
Who is this quarterback? Wow! Michael Bishop, and on this one, it's his elusiveness and mobility. You know, there's nothing left to do but celebrate.
It was only minutes ago that the Bombers were up by 10.
Yeah, you see Michael Bishop step up in the pocket, set himself and buy some time, and when you get a lot of man-to-man coverage, when you do that, eventually your receivers are going to break open, and Bishop bought that time and hit him.
31-27, the Argos back on top.
Welcome to Canadian Stadium. For the Blue Bombers, Milt Stegall, Kevin Glenn, and Wesley, a War Amps champ. Wesley lost his arm in an accident. Now he's the go-to guy for safety.
Whatever game you play, play safe.
A message from the Blue Bombers, the CFL, and the War Amps.
A pair of TDs in a minute and 45 seconds, and the Argos are back in front.
Well, it's Michael Bishop buying time. Looking left, coming back to the right, stepping up. And there's Doug Brown. How you doing? You know, there's Barbaro again on coverage, beat, but Bishop's 3 for 3 for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then he shows off his arm again, throwing it in the stands. What a change. I mean, that surprised me that Damon Allen got pulled and Bishop came in, but wow.
And he bought time for himself on that pass. Moved up and through the pocket to get the pass away, something that we didn't see Damon do a lot of.
No, and so important when you get a heavy dose of man-to-man to buy time, give your receivers time to break open.
Prefontaine kicking to Albert Johnson III. And Johnson is taken down. Terrific special teams pursuit by the Argos.
Well, here's the drive, which starts with Chuck Winters. I mean, they went back to Roberts, the man, and he's picking up the yards, but Chuck Winters rips it out. Steinhauer jumps on it, and then Michael Bishop goes back to Ricky Williams, who's been open all day out of the backfield. And here's the touchdown to R.J. Soward. I mean, just all alone in the back of the end zone. All touchdown passes have had Marlborough in coverage, so that's obviously the guy they're going after.
You can't get much better than that. That's the backup quarterback. Charles Roberts through the middle. Can the Blue Bombers answer the challenge? Remember, they were up by 10. They're now down 31-27 with just over 5 minutes to play.
Yeah, and definitely go back to Roberts. He's the guy you got to go to. But now you also, Glenn has confidence because he's completed some big passes in the second half, and your receiving core is into the game. They got to step up and make a big play here on 2nd and 4.
Big hole right side, but flags are down. The whistle stops the play. And it's procedure.
Well, they had a huge hole there because the defensive line had pushed over to the right-hand side.
Procedure. Winnipeg 69, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
So Wilson at right tackle moving a little bit early. And now they're in a tough spot where they've converted a couple 2nd and 10s by handing off to Roberts, but you're really taking a chance right here. With my little arrow at the end, you just see him flinch a little bit. And again, he's worried about Chuck Roberts there. Chuck
From
Winters.
the 24, it is 2nd and 9. Glenn, pass complete to Stoddard. Stoddard lost the ball, but I think he got it back. He was hit hard, and he did well to fall back onto the ball.
Yeah, what a big-time throw by Kevin Glenn, and Stoddard hasn't caught a ball all day. And then they go to him, and he's got to make this huge catch with 4 minutes left in the game, down by 3, down by 4. And there's Chuck Winters again, causing a fumble.
A 12-yard pickup. 1st and 10, Winnipeg from their own 36-yard line. 3:46 to play. Roberts. And again, the last 2 or 3 yards of that play was all Charles Roberts.
It was, and his carries are deep into the high 20s now, and we talked about his durability. 303 carries on the year, and he seems to just get better the more times he touches the ball, but he's got to be tired at this point.
He was asked yesterday, how many carries would you like? And he said, are you kidding? I'm a running back. I'll take as many as I can get.
Oh, he's getting them.
2nd and 3 for Winnipeg from the 43. Roberts into the pile. Did the Argos stop him short?
Absolutely, they stopped him short. We're going to get the 3-minute warning here, so time to think about a 3rd and 2, Will, where there is a decision to be made here. Because there's still time with 3 minutes if you punt it away.
31-27 to score. 3 minutes to play in the East Semi. Welcome back to the Scotiabank East Semi-Final. It is 3rd and about a yard and a half, maybe 2 yards for the Bombers. They've elected not to gamble. Troy Westward is on to punt. The punt will come from the 35-yard line. The clock is running, 2:47 to play. Keith Stokes, and Stokes is pushed out of bounds at about 36-37-yard line. Let's revisit the Rona game notes.
Ooh, what a game. Offensively, Charles in charge, and he has been in charge, but that fumble's big for sure, but 168 yards and 2 TDs, heck of a game. The Great Walls of Canada, they've gotten pressure on the Argo quarterbacks, but only one sack to tally up for the combination. You know, Winnipeg, by punting that, you've taken control of the game out of your hands. I mean, the Argos can conceivably control the ball and win the football game if they keep getting first downs.
Michael Bishop in as the backup behind Damon Allen, and he has made the difference. This is John Avery. Avery's got room. Cuts it back. Not risking going near the sidelines that time around.
That's a veteran running back. You know, if you step out of bounds, yeah, it's a great game, but you stop the clock. You cut it back up. Not only are you chewing up clock, but now the clock keeps running. There's no stopping it when you go out of bounds. Very, very conscious decision right here. He's like, out of bounds? I don't think so. I'll cut it back in.
Clock is running now. 2:20 remaining to play, 4th quarter. Argos leading 31-27. Bishop.
Wow.
It was the quick out intended for Talbot.
Just doesn't make sense at all. That play doesn't make sense. You know, you just ran the ball well. Why even take a chance throwing it? Because you could have just worked the clock. You could have sealed the game with the run game. Now you've stopped it, and it almost got picked and went the other way.
Nobody is leaving the Rogers Center in Toronto. This has been back and forth all game. Argos lead 31-27. 2:11 remaining on the clock. Bishop dropping deep, screen to Williams, and Williams can hang on. They rule it dead.
Those were 2 calls by the Argos. I don't know if they'll regret it at the end because they may get the victory, but you've been so successful if you do throw the ball in this situation, putting Williams out in the pass route, on out routes, and getting him open in one-on-one with McKinley, and then throwing it on first down just didn't make sense right after you picked up big yardage running the football. So Winnipeg's going to get their chance, right? They punted away. Now they're going to get the ball back and have an opportunity.
And if ever you needed a big punt from the best kicker in the league, Noel Prefontaine, now is the time. Prefontaine will get the punt away from the 50. And it's not a good one.
Nope.
It's a bad punt from Prefontaine, but it does roll out of bounds. Let's check the Toronto Rona game notes.
Well, I like it. The defensive one I'm going to love, but offensively for the Argos, running on empty. We thought they needed a big running game today, and Williams and Avery have run fairly well, 117 yards. Bishop really the big story. Defensively, long, cold winter. Chuck Winters came up huge in for Antonio Bonner today, forcing the fumble in the fourth quarter on Roberts, which gave him the go-ahead touchdown.
1:57 to play. Bombers have the ball. 1st and 10 from their own 26-yard line. They're down by 4. 5 receivers set. Glenn completes to Franklin. And Franklin stops short of the 35-yard line.
Nice job by Kevin Glenn. Now, you know, they've been in the 2 tight ends the whole game. They're spreading people out, and he puts it on the money. Important to understand, they're down 4 points, so a field goal does nothing. They need a touchdown, and they have 1:51 to get it done.
And they've got a long way to go. 2nd and 2 from their own 34. Glenn out of the shotgun. Play action. Completes it to Brazel. And Brazel goes out of bounds, stops the clock with 1:39 to play, but he gets the first down.
He does get the first down. And Kevin Glenn, boy, he's been money in the second half. He struggled desperately in the first half. 2 for 8 for only 40 yards, but he's come alive, and that's given him the confidence to be put in this position and to be able to move the football.
He wasn't too bad passing in the opening quarter, but he went to sleep in the second and third quarters, and he's really come alive in the fourth quarter with the arm. 1st and 10, Winnipeg from their 45. 1:39 to play, fourth quarter. Another rifle shot from Glenn to Derek Armstrong, and Kevin Glenn is down.
Well, he's got to
make that Roberts.
You got to get up and get ready and get set, because they're going to start this clock pretty quickly. But again, attacking that weak side of match coverage by the Argos, I always think that's the best way to attack them. Into the boundary.
They need 2 yards for the first down. The ball's been spotted at the 53-yard line. Clock is running, 1:25. Roberts with a hole. Winters with the grab and pulling Roberts down.
I was going to say, you got more than enough time to go back to Roberts and sprinkle some runs in here. You don't have to throw it every time. And here they go. Roberts off the right side, and Winters again, who caused the fumble on Roberts earlier. But now they're on the 48-yard line. They got 1:14 left, and again, down by 4, so they need the touchdown.
1st and 10. The backfield is empty. Glenn through the middle, complete. Down just outside the 30-yard line.
There's Milt Stiegel.
R.J. Franklin. Make that Stiegel.
Yeah, Milt Stiegel right there.
Gavin Walls has the mic on.
Mic'd up. Brought to you by Rogers Wireless, Canada's clearest wireless network.
Get a prayer in, dog. Time to get a prayer in, man.
Less than a minute to play. Kevin Glenn goes safely to the sidelines to stop the clock. Completes to Derek Armstrong. 48 seconds remaining to play. The Bombers down by 4. They need the major score.
Right, and again, they're on the right hash. So they're attacking the Argos secondary into the boundary on the right side when they're on the right hash. And they've been successful with it. What a great drive they put together at this point. But what are the Argos known for? Bending and not breaking. Let's see if that holds true here.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg from the Argos 26. 48 seconds to play, fourth quarter. Empty backfield. Glenn. Intercepted Argos! This run should be history. Orlando Steinauer in the right place at the right time.
Well, that's it. And I'll tell you what. They came out and played man-to-man with no free safety in the middle of the field. Winnipeg needed someone to go right down the middle, and they didn't. They played right into the Argos defense by going short. Look, no free safety all the way back here, and no one takes that spot. They just slant right in the middle, both Roberts and Brazel. I'll tell you, I've seen Milt Stegall go up that seam 100 times from that position in tight, and no one took the middle on that play. And you know what? A great play by Steinhauer, but someone's got to convert that route and go down the middle of the field because there's no free safety. And you got a real good chance to score a touchdown.
Second interception for Kevin Glenn, but that was the one that hurt. That may have been the one that drove the nail in the Bombers' hopes of advancing to the Grey Cup in Winnipeg. And you have to feel sorry for that man, Milt Stegall.
He had a big catch in the final drive. He had the 60-yarder in the third quarter. But I think that, I mean, if he was that receiver, the closest one to the quarterback where it was Roberts and where it was Brazel, if that was Milt Stegall, you would have seen him go down the middle of the field, recognize no free safety, and take advantage of it. But instead, you had a running back, Roberts, there, who doesn't recognize that coverage and just did the quick slant.
So now the Argos have got to figure out a way of killing 44 seconds, which shouldn't be tough. They lead by 4. They just got to keep it out of the hands of the Blue Bombers. Williams does a little dancing at the line, hangs onto the ball. He's got 2 hands on it. It's not about to come loose.
Well, the Argos used that first timeout, which was strange. So Winnipeg has a timeout to use, which I think they'll use right now.
Well, this is when you need your ball hawk somehow to get in there and punch it free. You've got to get possession of the ball.
That's right, because if they work the clock well enough, they'll run out the clock using 20 seconds both times.
It's been a good one. Very entertaining.
It's been a great football game. Both teams have played well enough to win.
Bishop. That's a draw.
Got it here.
And Bishop is going to keep this one in his own hands.
So now it's third down, which means, I take everything back, Winnipeg is going to get the ball back. It'd be interesting to see whether Toronto takes the safety or do they just punt it away and give Winnipeg a chance. Yeah, if you did take the safety, then it would be down to 2. So if Winnipeg got the ball back, a field goal would end up winning it. Where now they need that major, they need the touchdown. So I would think they just punt it away.
Prefontaine coming off a punt of just over 20 yards. So.
Right, he missed that one, but you'll see him use most all the play clock. So he'll just stand back there, let the play clock run down to 1 or 2, and punt it away with about 13 seconds left, 14 seconds.
He's got an eye on the clock. That's a good one. Albert Johnson III. He's got to get out of bounds and stop the clock. He doesn't.
Game's over.
That's a mistake right there. They may have had one more play. This one is over. The Argos defeating the Blue Bombers 31-27. So it's the Argos who go to Montreal to face the Alouettes in the Scotiabank East Final next Sunday at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. A very entertaining football game in front of a very noisy crowd here at the Rogers Center this afternoon to see the Argos beat the Bombers 31-27.